Hey everyone, welcome to It Tastes Different Gaming Appetizers. What are we talking about tonight? Everybody's golf, hot shots. That's more than part two, but it's quite, there's a lot of hot shot games. But anyway, before we get started, make sure you like the video, subscribe, help us out. Do us a favor, hit that subscribe button so we can continue to talk about things that we love, as Shane says, video games. So everybody's golf. We played everybody's golf before they shut down everybody's golf on PlayStation. It was a lot of fun. And I love hot shots, and I'm sure Shane loves hot shots as well. So this is everybody's golf and hot shots, it seems like, together. So that's cool. But the Steam listing for Bandai Namco's Everybody's Golf Hot Shots includes a disclosure detailing the game's use of content generated by artificial intelligence. Now, Steam did put a thing in there that, especially since AI, that if any games have any sort of AI, anything in there that's AI created, that they have to disclose what that is in the game, right? In the details when people to go buy it or wish listed or whatever, it needs to say that we have this and this is what's in there. So this is the newest entry in the series coming out. It's being developed by Hyde for the PlayStation 5, the Nintendo Switch, and the PC. The role of generative AI in game development, we've talked about that before. We've talked about the questioning of AI in video games. It's been discussed quite a bit. Whether it could be, not whether or not it's going to be used, because it will be. It's just how it's going to be used, right? So AI tools presented a number of complex ethical issues regarding the use and concerns of human roles being replaced by AI. So voice acting, we've talked about that. Take-Two, CD Projekt Red, Electronic Arts, among some other major publishers that have acknowledged the risks associated with AI, such as damage, reputational damage, and unaccredited use of human artist intellectual properties. So the AI-generated content disclosure included in the Steam page for Everybody's Golf Hot Shots explains that the textures for trees and leaves found around the game's courses were created using images generated by AI. Like I said, Valve or Steam began requiring developers submitting the games to Steam to describe if and how AI has been used in the game development process in January of 2024, so starting then, including any pre-generated or live-generated content. Valve then concludes a pre-release review of each game's output of AI-generated content and compares their findings to the provided disclosure. Seeing as Everybody's Golf Hot Shots has been listed without issue, it's safe to assume that the disclosure is exhaustive, although players are able to report content they suspect is inappropriately generated. So the use of generative AI is a controversial topic, with a variety of opinions among gamers that find it difficult for some developers to judge when and where it is appropriate to utilize the technology. Frontier Developments found itself the target of serious backlashes for its use of AI in Jurassic World Evolution 3 to generate scientist portraits, prompting the developer to remove the images. However, some games have argued that generative AI is acceptable and should be used for rudimentary tasks like Everybody Golf Hot Shots has with its foliage. So I wanted to bring this up because I wanted to see what Shane, of course we don't have Pat here, but I wanted to see what Shane thought of this. We talked about AI in games, and I'm not a huge fan of it being used, but something like generating foliage and trees for background noise might be an okay solution for that, right? Because a lot of that stuff is generated, when it's created, a lot of games, especially like golf games and stuff, that's really just kind of like dressing in the back, right? And so a lot of it's really copy and pasted, and it's just kind of spread out there. Sometimes you have humans and stuff like that. Like when you're playing a golf game, like the environments, yes, but like the background stuff, you really don't give two craps about, right? It's the environment of the course and things like that. Like the environment needs to look nice, but like, the trees in the distance, you're not going to sit there and stare at them all day long, right? While you're playing a golf game or something like that. You'll be looking at to tee up your shot and stuff like that and making sure that you can hit it correctly and you're not going to bounce off a tree or, or anything like that. So I could see it being utilized in this case for like mundane tasks, right? Like, oh, we need a bunch of trees in the background. Great. Well, let's just use AI to generate those trees, a whole like forest area in the back, right? Or something like that, or just foliage on the outside the borders of the green, or something like that. As long as it's done well, I don't think, in that case, I think you could take the artists and have them do work on other things on the game while the minute stuff like foliage and trees and rocks and various things like that could be generated with AI, right? It's a very, I don't know, it's a very gray area and a very, tricky situation to really, because it's going to get you, AI is going to get used regardless, right? Regardless of how we feel about it. So the only thing that we can really dictate as gamers is what we accept and what we don't accept, right? Kind of trying to at least create the borders or the boundaries for how AI is utilized in video games. Because it's going to get used regardless, right? Regardless of what we say. So if we as a collective can kind of try to set, I should say, the boundaries for how it's used, I think that'll be more beneficial, because if you don't set any boundaries, right, developers are going to use it regardless. So even no matter how much bitching happens out there, they're going to end up using it regardless. So I think if we don't like say, no, you can't use it at all, because they do want to use it and they are going to, if we were to kind of try to dictate as a community what is acceptable and what is not, that might be a more, or could potentially be a better route than trying to like demean it altogether, because it is going to be utilized one way or another, right? Whether we want it or we don't want it, it's going to get used. So I don't know. I think in this case, I'm fine with how it's utilized in this case. And, it seems like with Valve, they do a pretty good job of like, when a company discloses that, they look at that and see if it's acceptable. So for them, they were like, okay, that's fine. And so I think in the end, it might be okay from a consumer standpoint as well. But I don't know. What do you think about that, Shane? What do you think about them using that AI for the foliage and stuff?
I'm all over the place with this. I really am. So AI in general, I'm not a fan of. I use it. Don't get me wrong. I find that it does help me in many ways, but I also don't like it as well, because AI getting used here or here just means it's going to end up getting used everywhere in between eventually. And AI should be a tool for people. AI should not be a tool to remove people. That's my quandary on it, because I understand how AI works. Far as I use it to help do some of my images or create new things. Pat uses AI a lot to write papers and things like that. Write emails and whatnot. I don't know how much you play with it, but I like the ideal of the ability to use it to make things easier, to make things better. The problem is it's going to get to a point where it's going to make things worse on people, because people are going to lose their jobs. There was an article out a while back regarding my field, which is in architecture. how AI is going to be able to do everything that I do. Screw you. I need my job. I'm too old and too fat to start and do anything else. I've been doing it for too long now. So that's my concern with AI. Now, I do agree with you. I like the ideal of, hey, AI, you do the trees here and this grass and some birds. And then that frees up, Bill and Ted to go over here and work on these items, character designs, swing inputs, whatever. It's a great idea, but the problem is it concerns me that Bill and Ted's boss, Barry, I don't know where the names are coming from. Barry's like, well, I could use AI to do this. I bet I can use AI to do Bill and Ted's jobs. Fuck Bill and Ted. They're gone. Now I got AI to do all this, and all I have to do is sit back and make the money. That's my concern with AI. It's not really AI's fault. It's people. People are the problem. People are going to use the AI in the worst ways. We've seen some of the videos we have seen. We see how AI is used in the worst ways. What was the one the other day Pat shared? Oh God. It was basically Harry and the Hendersons meet a sperm bank. So it was bad. So AI isn't the problem. It's how people are going to utilize it and how people are going to take advantage of people with it. So it's a very concerning thing to me. I mean, I love the idea of the help that it can provide me, but I'm definitely afraid of it taking over my job. I mean, the auto industry, robots have decimated it. And, it's only going to get worse. I mean, automation is great to a point, but when you start losing the human aspect and you start hurting people saving that money, that's where I have my lines drawn. Now, the game series itself, though, the game series itself has always been about cute characters playing golf with really fun gimmicky things like explosions and starlight and all this crazy stuff. I could see how a small developer, and Pat has brought this up before, a small developer could utilize this to help them make a game. So it all depends on how people utilize, for good or bad, these tools. I don't know how to feel about it on the overall because I see the great and I see the evil of it. I do like the fact that Steam is saying, hey, just a heads up, this has got AI, so you can support that or not. That is your choice. I loved Everybody Loves Golf. I loved Hot Shots Golf Group. Played the crap out of that on PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, even on my PSP, had it on there. So it's a scary thing. I just don't know how to feel about it in the overall because it's really not the AI that I worry about. It's the utilization of people. People are the biggest problem with AI. So, but the good news is we'll be able to get Harry and the Hendersons back in there. Let me ask you something, Nick. Do you think AI could eventually do your job?
Oh yeah. I mean, eventually AI could do pretty much. I mean, ultimately, computers and could do most jobs out there with eventually.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to start out doing rudimentary stuff, but eventually you're going to go to McDonald's and it's just going to be a robot and a whole bunch of robots in the back making flipping burgers and stuff.
And I think they've done that. They've got like a fully automated McDonald's.
Yeah.
But I hear they don't F up your order.
Well, probably not.
So, I mean, that's
hopefully
the problem.
It's not as down as much as the ice cream machine, though.
You imagine that robot voice. Our ice cream machine is down today. Sorry for the inconvenience.
Bullshit.
Bullshit.
But I mean, like I was saying, I don't. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to. I don't think we're going to be able to stop it. But I think we can try to point it in a certain direction, right? And try to put up the guardrails for AI use. And so, that's what I'm hoping for anyway, ultimately.
So right now, would you say you would play this? Because we both love the series, both love these types of games. Would you play this knowing AI is in it?
For what it's being used for, yes.
All right. Now,
it depends. For me, it depends on what's being utilized, what AI is being utilized for it.
Yeah.
Now that doesn't mean, I'll be real. That doesn't mean I wouldn't play it even if it was being utilized for something that I didn't particularly like, but that I'd be more disturbed or more worried about something that did have AI that I didn't like
character
storytelling, or character design, or
vocals,
or world design and stuff like that. Like, I guess you could say this is world design, but it sounds like the courses and everything are made by an artist, right? Yeah. And then just the foliage and kind of things like that are AI generated. So, I don't know. But you're exactly right. Like, with Bill and Ted, they'll be able to go on there an excellent adventure because they'll be fired. So
it'll be a short adventure though, because they ain't gonna have no money.
It'll be a short adventure. They got no money. But yeah, I mean, that's the problem, right? That's the other flip side of things is, they're going to say, oh, well, then I don't. Well, it starts out, and that's also the problem, right? It starts out with trees and foliage, and then it goes from trees to foliage to something else, to grass, and then from grass to rocks, and then from rocks to courses, and then from courses to, and then next thing you know, it's a fully AI put together game, right? And it's going to allow for these mega publishers or developers out there to just churn games out of nowhere. And then, but you run into like problems where these games aren't worth playing, right? You get a bunch of shovelware or, and so.
And shovelware that's a good point. That's something I didn't even put the thought into is you will have some knockoff Chinese companies saying, hey, look at this 50th game we made. It looks just like Resident Evil or, whatnot. What's the Dino Break games? Those games, they're a dime a dozen. They don't put a whole lot of work into them. Now, granted, I've played them and they got an homage to it. That's why I do play it, because I would kill for a new Dino Crisis. But companies like that, though, are going to use AI to basically fully create those games and just drop them out even faster. So,
yeah. And that's where, I mean, that's where you're going to have a problem with a lot of things, I mean, even with like, it's not just video games, but movies and various other things using AI to generate these types of things. But the problem is, I don't want to run into a situation in the future, which I feel like is going to be there, where, we're going to, this game or this movie did a really great job. And guess what? The secret of it was, it was all made by real people. That's going to be the new thing, right? Because we're kind of running into it with video games, right? Like Expedition 33, a small development group, that love for the art and and then that, Baldur's Gate, which was a much larger development team, but still that love for creating and crafting, and you compare that now to larger corporations and them churning out the junk that they churn out every year. it sells, but they still churn out junk. But eventually you're going to get to, oh, this one was made by everyone on the staff was real, and it was all made by hand. This is kind of like today, like with CG in movies, right? Mm-hmm. Like, oh, this is all puppets and the sets were created, right? Nothing in this movie was CGI or digitally created, right? And then those are really awesome to watch, but it's like we don't get those very often, but those are usually the best.
Yeah, absolutely. Jurassic Park, when it originally released, the original Jurassic Park movie, it was very little CG in it.
Like the old Star Wars, right? And
exactly. It was imagination.
Labyrinth. That was all
Labyrinth. Muppets, Labyrinth is a perfect example of what human ingenuity can do. Now, here's the problem, though. AI is going to be able to do it eventually. And my wife, I'll like the videos that, Pat sends with the Harry and the Henderson monster.
Sasquatches, yeah.
Sasquatch, yeah. She asked me one time I was watching, is that real? It wasn't saying nothing yet, so she didn't quite pick up it wasn't real. But it's just like, yes, it's real.
Yeah.
And you know what? That looks like our street right there. You better hide. It's going to get to that point where you're not going to be able to differentiate.
Right. And it's going to be difficult, right? It's going to be very difficult.
Yeah. I mean, look at the little baby videos now. Like the Sam Jackson one the other day I saw from Pulp Fiction. I freaking love that video. It's like baby Sam Jackson. Say what again? One more time. It's this little baby.
Right.
It's hilarious, and it looks. You can tell it's still AI, but it looks so amazing.
I mean, I watched a video the other day. It was some really attractive woman in a like bikini or something, and and at first I was like, oh, that woman's attractive. And as I sat there and watched it for a few seconds, I realized, oh, this is not real. This is AI. Like, because there's always something about an AI video, even no matter how real it looks, that you can, there is somehow or in some way your mind can realize that it's AI, just the way that, I don't know if it's the camera something or what it is that how the motion goes, it's just not natural. So you're like, oh, this is not real. Because at first she looked real, and then I was like, wait a minute, nope, she ain't real. Like none of this is real. And then I saw that I looked at like the caption below it, and it was like Google's VO3 or whatever, which is their AI video generator, right? So I was like, that's cool. I mean, it's cool that it can create stuff like that, but it got me at first, but for the first few seconds, and then I realized, oh wait, that ain't real.
Had to put the lotion back. I'm only a real woman, man. But yeah, it's scary that another year or two, you're not going to be able to tell the difference. And we do need laws on AI. I mean, for so many aspects, we need laws. I mean, AI is going to be able to make movie stars into porn stars. It's
right. And like we've talked about before, it's right now it's the wild west when it comes to AI, and that it does need to be
regulated,
rein in, to an extent, so that way it doesn't get all crazy, because that's just not good for anyone.
Nope. I think if you use AI, and
good for companies, it's just not good for anyone outside of that.
I think if you're using AI and it causes you to fire people because you're replacing their jobs with AI, I think part of the profits have to go to the employees you fired for the rest of their lives, as long as you're using AI.
Yeah.
But that'll never happen.
No, that'll never happen.
Not with this government.
I think that, Valve's idea is a very good first step. You should have to designate if your video or whatever it is uses AI and what it is that is in said product that uses AI, right? Yeah. So that way people know videos online, because, just to kind of end things up here, you know how many videos, just like your wife, you know, seeing with the Sasquatches. I mean, how many videos are out there that do look real? And there's a lot of people out there that get goaded in by these videos that talk about, and it's not just funny stuff like the Sam Jackson things. Like there's very serious political things and all sorts of stuff that's very, disastrous for your society that are out there, and people believe it. I mean, people would believe.
Oh yeah.
If people can easily believe like a Twitter, you know, thing, somebody says something on Twitter or somebody says something on Facebook that's just text, right? And it has like a picture on it. Just think, you know, and they believe that picture is true, and the text that goes along with it, without doing any sort of due diligence about the information that's been provided to them or the picture that's been provided. I mean, and now you have full AI video that could show like this is happening, and then people are like, "Oh my God, I can't believe it," when none of this is actually happening.
Yeah, that's a damn good point, because there was the Jesus ones were coming around there for a little bit, where everybody's like, "Oh, Jesus came back," because there was a video that showed basically Jesus character, you know, walk out, "Hey, I'm back, people." I mean, talking like he's from, you know, the now. And, you know, he's wearing his dirty old robe and everything. "Hey, I'm back, everybody. Everything's going to be great." You know, and people believed that, you know,
it's easy to manipulate
especially
people.
especially older, desperate and older people.
Correct.
You know, I mean, we're not a society now is not a society of feeding yourself. Our society's become a society of being fed.
Right.
Information you're not feeding yourself information anymore. You're being fed information. Right. You're not going out and getting that. You're not going out and understanding what you heard. You're just going, okay. You know,
right.
I mean, that's
just believing whatever.
It's a big problem, especially in politics and religion.
Yeah.
So, you know, right. Before we go, just
be careful out there on the internet.
Exactly. That's not Sam Jackson as a baby. They didn't turn him into a baby, and that was not.
And those Sasquatches are not real. You can't get Sasquatch. If they were real, the picture would be fuzzy. So. And those pictures were not.
I didn't even think about that one.
They'd be blurry.
Although look up the Batman and Sasquatch one. That was freaking hilarious. I enjoyed that one.
I mean, the videos are funny, like the Sasquatches and the baby stuff and everything. Like all the funny videos, they are funny. They're funny to watch and stuff like that. You just got to realize that a lot of the stuff, especially, I mean, if you didn't know, like 99% of things on the internet are untrue. So, you know, take everything on the internet with a grain of salt. Do your due diligence, do your research, try to back it up with several sources and things like that. Don't just take one news article or one thing as truth, because you really need to know if this particular thing is true or not before you fly off the handle over something that's not real. So, anywho, kind of got sidetracked there, but still, I mean, everybody, you know, let us know down in the comments below. What do you think of the generative AI being used in everybody's golf, hot shots? I mean, you know, I put it on my wish list. I do want to play the game because I do love everybody golf, and I do love hot shots, and I really want to play with Shane and Pat. We usually play golf games together because they're a lot of fun. So, you know, I'm looking forward to playing that. And hot shots, I always loved hot shots because hot shots is more arcadey style of golfing, which was always fun to just screw around on and play. But let us know down in the comments below what you think. And other than that, thanks for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell notification to stay up to date with new videos that we do all the time. We'll see you next time.
See ya.